Hi everyone, welcome to our Boostability webinar today. I'm Christine Pratt. I'm our Content Marketing Manager, and we're also joined here by Colton Miller. He's the Director of SEO. We're excited to have all of you with us. We are talking about how SEO enhances other marketing products and how you can best utilize it for your small business. So let's just jump right into things. We're going to be live tweeting this on our Twitter page. That's at Boostability. If you want to follow along, you can ask questions there, and then we'll answer some of those at the end of this. And then we'll also, towards the end, give you different ways that you can contact us with any other questions that you might have that we didn't address. So with that, Colton, let's take it away.
Awesome. Well, like Christine said, it's great to be here with everybody. Just to jump in a little bit about me, I've kind of done everything when it comes to organic search and a little bit about everything with digital. I've started with sales, done a little bit of fulfillment, management, and as of late have been doing a lot more of the strategy. 10 plus years in the digital marketing space, dealt with every campaign and almost every vertical you can think of, national, local, e-commerce, and more. And I like to refer to myself as a big, beautiful man. So hopefully that sets the tone for the presentation.
And so, I can attest to that for awesome. Anyone who needs it.
All right. So jumping right in here, obviously we all know about SEO. That one's a given. Search engine optimization, making sure you show up inside of the organic results. Usually we see this as a versus, right? You have your SEO, you have your SEM, which would be PPC, AdWords, search engine marketing, basically anything that might be paid within a search. Email marketing, right? You create a list or you have customers that are giving you their email, and then you go out and you try to, either get a referral from them or you try to get direct sales off of that list, maybe convert leads. Social media, something a little bit newer as of the last 5-6 years. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as of late, Reddit. Again, trying to build an audience, a following, maybe trying to also garner emails, leads from that. And as of late as well, over the last 2 years, direct sales can also be acquired there. Video, another booming market as well, creating a video, going out there, producing it. And this one, again, touches, in my opinion, several other places. You can have affiliates on here. You could have, again, just trying to create a content audience. There's all sorts of things you can do here. Maybe you're promoting a specific product. Maybe you're a small business. You're just looking to promote yourself, your location, your service, whatever it might be. YouTube, Vimeo, etc. That's where you're going to be producing your content there. Native advertising, so display marketing. This is retargeting typically. Native kind of bleeds also into the real world as well. So billboards, local advertising, flyers, all that good stuff there. And then you have, your local. Oh, I have local on here. My bad. Skipped ahead a little bit. So billboards, print ads, community sponsorships. If you have any local sports teams that you like to support, that's a great way to, again, kind of get your name out there. So again, here we typically see this as a versus, right? We have SEO versus all these other marketing styles. Or if we are PPC heavy, we see that as PPC versus all these other styles, or whatever you may be more comfortable with. The reality is that it's really, if we take it from the SEO side of things first, it's SEO amplifying everything else. And here's kind of the case for that. If we jump into some of the common SEO tasks that you might do when you are doing, basically trying to get yourself better rankings inside of search engine result placements, you might start with something like keyword research. And that starts with your brand, your name, going out from maybe industry related, so it's very broad topics, getting into your service. So what do you specifically provide? Pairing that with your location as well, and then maybe some of those geos you want to get into, maybe going after those more competitive geos you want to get into. Evergreen, so things that are just typically, common sense type stuff within your industry, making sure you're covering those. And then also timely stuff, the stuff that is going to expire soon, or the stuff that is maybe news within your industry or vertical. So if you're doing keyword research for all of that within SEO, you're going to be coming up with a lot of keywords. Moving on, so you're also going to be doing page optimizations, and that might touch things like your page titles, page descriptions, your page text, so the actual text within your page, the user experience, how you have your page laid out, do you have pictures on there, do you have forms on there, so on and so forth. And then, of course, the page speed, right? If it takes 10 seconds to load, if it takes a minute to load, people aren't going to stay on there. It doesn't do you any good. So page optimization is another thing you're going to be doing just as a core SEO task. External profiles. This one is a little bit debated on if it's an SEO. For us, we consider it a common SEO task where you're going to be going out and making sure that your business listings are all correct, your social profiles are correct, any other lead channels that you might have. So things like Yelp or Kudzu or Craigslist, places where you may typically want to promote your services just to get leads or people requesting like bids or something like that. Maybe you have direct sales, so if you're selling a product or if somebody can actually buy your service, so like a taxi service as an example, somebody can actually order a ride or order a specific service on a specific date. You can also set up those channels. And then also industry forums. If you're not going out and making sure you have a profile and then hopefully using that profile on related sites, that's something that you should be doing. For us, it's something we also try to establish with our customer set. Another thing, blogging. This one hopefully you should be kind of aware of and be doing, and obviously this one hopefully should be done to death, kind of beating a dead horse here. But blogging, typically that's going to have kind of 3 separate verticals for you. Informational, where you're trying to just kind of inform somebody about either your industry or something that may have been news coming from that timely related type stuff. Maybe it's more transactional, maybe you have a special going on, maybe you have some inventory you're looking to move. Or educational, again, going back to our keyword stuff, maybe more evergreen type terms. Maybe you're trying to educate somebody on something that is specific within what you're providing. Another thing you're going to be doing is citation building. So this is a very soft form of link building. Typically you do this to try to get into the map area of the organic listings. So you might be doing things like local directories. So like a Chamber of Commerce would be considered that, or if your local cities have a specific directory, or even if somebody has just created a local directory for your city. Industry directories. So if there are directories specifically niched out for your particular company or service. National directories. So that would be like your Yellow Pages, your Dexes, anywhere that is kind of nationwide that essentially runs a reputable directory. And then you have your online directories. This could be kind of broad, kind of low value directories like free online directory, or it could be something like manta.com or something along those lines where it's just a kind of general online directory that's a little bit more reputable. Another task that you'll typically do is going to be link building, and this one's going to be kind of a core one when it comes to SEO. Link building, you're going to be doing branded links where you're going to be trying to get your name out there and trying to get links back with your specific name and with your brand. You're also going to be getting keyword links, hopefully, where you're getting your particular service or keywords that you're wanting attributed with your business back to you. Broad links. So broad links could be things like your root domain. It might be even just a phrase that might be associated with your business. Honestly, it could be something like click here, something along those lines, something that seems natural, right? Because not all links are going to have the exact same anchor text or same kind of link coming back to you. Natural links are another one where naturally you're actually just going to start acquiring those by creating content, by blogging, hopefully, right? If you're putting out the right kind of content, you're just going to start naturally having, links come in the door. It may not be in full, ton of droves here, but they'll start coming in slowly and steadily. Content is another one. Back up a little bit. So content here, you'll have Sorry, some slight technical issues here.
Sorry, bear with us for 1 second.
All right, so graphics is what you'll have. So graphics is a part of your content creation, right? Pictures, this could be, maybe this is a before and after picture that you might have. something along those lines. Maybe it's just a stock image that you might be buying from somebody. But graphics are another great way, or something that you should be creating as a part of your SEO. Videos are another one. Again, this may or may not be something that you're doing as a part of your SEO. Maybe if you're a franchise, this is something that's being done for you, or if you're participating in somebody else's package, again, maybe it's being done as a part of something else you're buying. Data is another one. Maybe you're producing your own data, or maybe providing data about services you're providing. Maybe you're taking data that you're getting from the industry and publishing that. Tutorials are part of that. So again, kind of going back to the whole blogging, or maybe even the content aspect. If you're blogging, maybe you're creating tutorials. And then you have, of course, stories, and this could be either direct content on your website, or again, it could be within your blog. And then you have data markup, and this would be like schema markup. And this would be your business information, where you can mark up your phone number, your business name, your address, kind of the core business info. Your categorical information. So if you have lists, or if you are, let's say you're an informational website about recipes, you can definitely go in and mark all of that stuff up. The other one that you can do, which is really helpful for like a small business, would be like service information, where you can go in and tie reviews if you have it to a specific service, or if you have specific details about your service, like a description or a product number, and any sort of finite details that you might have within a service that you're providing. So taking all of those SEO tasks that you may be performing, or that would be typically done for you as a part of an SEO campaign, we can see how those might actually fit into some of these other marketing efforts that you're doing. And this could be fitting in as far as, not having to duplicate work, or maybe it might be maybe adding to what somebody else might be doing. Honestly, it could be supplementing fully. There's a lot of different ways that this could be interacting. If we start with keyword research, this is roughly how much impact it might have across all these areas. So, SEM, it's going to have a big impact. Email, a big impact. Social, a big impact. Video, a little bit on, the native display, and then again, quite a bit on the local. If we go to page optimization, again, a little bit of a spike here. A little bit more on the email, SEM side, social, video. Just a moment. Okay.
Technical difficulties, our apologies.
All right, external profiles. So that's going to mainly impact the email, and then social that you might be doing. Blogging, that's going to impact your SEM, your email, social, and then local. Citation building, that's going to impact mainly your SEM campaigns, so your paid campaigns, and then local. Link building, again, kind of a broad stretch there, so that'll impact your SEM, some social, some video, a little bit on the native as well, and then again on local. Content creation, also going to be a broad one, so that one's going to hit across SEM, email, social, video, native, local. The great thing is, which is why some of these kind of go across a lot more than others, is that you can really use them across everything. You can either duplicate what you have, or you can use bits and pieces and just kind of reformat them as needed. Data markup, and that's going to impact SEM, social, video, so on. So what are the benefits? So we know that we have some of our common tasks. We kind of know what softly it might actually impact, but what are the actual benefits, right? If it's supposed to amplify it, what are we supposed to get out of it? Well, there's three main benefits that I would see as highlighting that would come from it. The first one is going to be your brand benefits. So the things that your business is actually going to get out of, doing SEO on top of other marketing efforts. Search engine benefits, of course. The search engine is always going to benefit if you're doing any sort of SEO, right? And then lastly, the customer benefits. And as you kind of see here already, this is a winning combo for you, the business, in the sense that you you benefit, the search engine benefits, and at the end, your customer benefits. So let's go into each one of these in a little bit more detail. So to start off, the brand benefits, so your specific company and how it benefits. Obviously, your data is going to be all uniform. If you're doing the right things in SEO, starting with your website and then moving outward to those external profiles and then doing some of the citation building, hopefully everywhere that a customer or any potential, bot or spider could find you is all going to be uniform. It's all going to have the same data. It's all going to be, correlated in the same way with you and how you phrase yourself. The address is going to be the same, phone number is going to be the same, and of course the name is going to be the same. What that does is that's going to create consistency for you, and the consistency creates trust, and the trust is obviously, that creates trust for search engines, but it also creates trust for the users, and that trust can be in the form of maybe better rankings, it might be better conversions, maybe it's better branding, maybe better exposure. If you have consistency across the board, it could just be maybe you're getting highlighted on a specific website where somebody else isn't getting highlighted, so on and so forth. And then it also trusts and fosters brand loyalty. So breaking that one down a little bit more because it's a little bit broad, it helps leads and sales. So it helps you actually, create a pipeline and then helps you actually convert people through that pipeline. Protects your brand. So if you are getting people through the door, they are converting. And again, if you have that uniformity and you are putting your name in places where it should be, that should hopefully foster, people leaving reviews for you, which in the long run will help protect your brand against, bad reviews that might come through the door, or even somebody who, is trying to either, benefit off of your brand or kind of, ride your coattails, so to speak. If your brand is always consistent, it'll be easy to spot somebody trying to, fake your name, things like that.
Colton, let's ask one other question while we're kind of talking about this, how SEO benefits the brand in general. So yes, being in the top 10 results is always good, but having that brand recognition adds an extra level to that. So talk to us just a little bit about how SEO kind of also enhances the brand in general while you're going through this.
Yeah. So the brand in general, realistically, if you can get somebody who is searching your name over searching something a little bit broader or even searching something specific, if you can get somebody searching for your name specifically, the likelihood somebody is going to convert, honestly, it goes from maybe 20, 30%, something like that, all the way up to 80 to 90%, right? Because they already know you, they know the name that they're looking for, and honestly, they're just looking for a quote or they're looking to directly buy. But if you get somebody who is looking for, let's say, a broad keyword, something like, Chapter 7 bankruptcy lawyer in whatever town, right? If they're looking for something that is that broad, it means that they don't know exactly who they're looking for, and they're still in that decision-making process. And they may be looking for some factors that either you may not have, or maybe you do have them covered. And so there still is some of those X factors that maybe you haven't covered yet. So again, obviously, if you're doing all the SEO, if you're doing everything that you can do correctly when it comes to improving your organic presence and obviously doing some of these other marketing efforts as well, if your branding is getting the exposure it should be getting, especially in the online hemisphere, it means that even if somebody is doing that ambiguous query, you're hopefully covering those bases. But overall, the long term is that you should be getting those more branded visits over time, and those more branded visits should be yielding a lot better conversion for you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, so then the last one here, it improves bandwagoning. So this kind of, I think, tailors on right with what we were talking about just now, which is once you start kind of getting that initial, motion of somebody buying from you, and then you give them a good experience, and then, if they leave you a good review, all of a sudden somebody can potentially see that, get a good feeling from it, and then again buy from you, and then hopefully repeat the same cycle. And if you start building up that momentum and you get a lot more people who are starting to do that over and over again, you can get that consistency down. It really starts helping out with kind of this crowdsourcing of not only word of mouth, but also in this online hemisphere of creating that that brand reputation and that brand loyalty. So your brand, again, if you're doing the SEO, whether that's some sort of part-time SEO, whether you're DIY solution, or maybe you're giving it to somebody as a full in-house solution. If you're doing that along with other in-house benefits, your brand, it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to receive big benefits. So the other ones that are going to be benefiting, of course, are search engines. And of course, they benefit because they get cleaner data. And the data means, for them, it means that they're not trying to, get two pieces of conflicting data and then trying to mesh it together or say which one is valid, or more likely than not, what they do is they say, well, it looks like both are valid, and they count them both. And then it becomes up to you or the user, right? So either the company or the user to say, no, this one's right, this one's wrong. And then it just becomes a kind of a confusing mess of which one's correct, which one's right, which one's not right, and so on. So if you have cleaner data, that should ideally mean easier crawling. Again, if you're doing the right things for SEO, that should be one of their top priorities with any sort of SEO, which is, how is your site being crawled? Is it being crawled? Is it being crawled correctly? Is it, loading correctly for search engines, for users? And if it's not, correcting those things. And of course, if it's, being crawled easier, that means that it can be found easier. It can be indexed better. And if it's indexed better, obviously that's going to help search engines and help you get better rankings down the road. And then with that better understanding, with that better ranking, you can start getting better search results. And this is specifically for search engines. They can start providing better search results to their end user, which is anybody who's looking for, information, they're looking for products, they're looking for different things. It also creates trust for them. If they start seeing that your data or your information is better than somebody else's, it means they're going to keep coming back to you. This is where blogging kind of becomes a little bit more of a key thing. This is why blogging, has kind of been beaten to death, is that if you can create that consistent content or put out content frequently, it helps create this consistency that Google wants to see and keep coming back, and it fosters that trust that, hey, looks like these people are credible and they want to come back to it. So creating those better search results creates the trust. And then lastly, it establishes expertise for the search engines, but also expertise for you as the brand. And then, taking all of these factors, right? So the brand benefits, the search engine benefits. Lastly, of course, we have the customer who benefits. And they benefit, a little bit redundant here, but they benefit because their data is reliable. They're not questioning which phone number to call. They're not questioning which address to go to. They aren't questioning that if they go to this address to receive a service, that they're going to end up at an empty building or walk into an office that is no longer what they were expecting to walk into and look foolish, right? It's all those things that we secretly dread when we go somewhere unfamiliar, that tend to keep us away from trying new things, that if we can kind of stop creating those moments and stop creating those things, that we would start trying new things. And those are things that search engines and obviously us as the business owners, we should be trying to get away from. So more reliable data for the customers, consistent messaging for the customers as well, and for them. The consistent messaging can kind of benefit them in a few different ways. Think of it like a sales pitch that you've ever been given, or even kind of email marketing you've been given. If you've ever been kind of given this message of, hey, we have this sell, or hey, this is kind of the best product, if you start seeing that message consistently, either across channels or across multiple websites, or even across different medias, right, video or text, and then maybe even a radio ad, if you start seeing these things or hearing these things, or you start seeing these consistencies, it starts building, starts training the mind that, hey, these things are connected. It starts building those pathways, and that kind of goes back to the brand. If you start building that consistency, it starts leveraging your brand and your service for the customer. So that consistency helps them decide on somebody when they think of a service, right? It helps them make a decision faster. And then, of course, at the end of it all, it creates a great user experience for them. We've all done this, right? We're looking for a service, we're looking for a product, and we spend days, maybe hours, or maybe we just don't end up buying anything because either the buying experience is terrible, or maybe we just don't know what we're looking for, or maybe it becomes frustrating, right, after a while. And if we have more consistent data, if we have better messaging, if we just have things at our disposal, and we have a better pathway to what we're looking for, whether that be directly SEO or search related, or whether that's search plus other things. We're more likely to be happy, and we're more likely to finish whatever task we're looking to solve. And at the end of the day, that allows us to move on with our lives and accomplish what we're looking to do. So that's the same thing that we should always be trying to do for our customers. So breaking this one down a little bit more, of course, it's a chance to impress the user. If you have, that consistent branding, messaging across all of your sites, it makes you look like you actually know what you're doing, and that's going to, go a long way, especially if you're local. It's going to go a long way with standing out amongst your competitors. It also, again, creates a trust for you as well as the search engine, which is a big bonus for everybody, right? Search engines get more trust. They get people coming back to them. Creates more benefit for you. Hopefully you get more sales and hopefully more referrals. And then, of course, it nurtures, related needs and recommendations. So if somebody remembers your brand, they remember your name, they're more likely to recommend you to somebody else. And even if they don't buy your service, if they remember your name, they're still more likely to recommend you over somebody else. Customers, if they know a brand, or if they feel like they trust a brand, again, even if they've never purchased from you, they're more likely to just naturally buy from you, or even recommend you to a colleague, coworker, friend, family, whoever it might be. So capturing that early on could be the difference between one sell and potentially 20, 30 different sales, again, depending on what you're doing. So now that we've kind of gone through all the benefits, SEO, again, SEO plus other marketing, what does that look like? What does SEO do? What does other marketing do? And what are the benefits of having both? So we have to always keep in mind SEO, it's a long-term strategy. I'm not advocating here. SEO is not going to be the right fit for everybody, as we'll hit on here softly, but SEO, long-term strategy, 6 to 9 months typically is what we recommend here. 3 to 6 months if you have kind of short-term quick goals to show up for like your brand or something like that. But SEO is a long-term goal, and sometimes this is going to be doing things incrementally. Sometimes you're going to be able to go full out. Overall, SEO, I like to put it this way: as long as you have your business or expect to have your business up and running, that's how long you should expect to have your SEO or some form of SEO running. SEO takes a lot of time and money, or specifically other people's time. So if you're not going to invest in it, then you should be having somebody else do the work for you. So specifically, if you're not going to invest your time, you should be having somebody else invest their time. Again, there's lots of resources. Boostability has a ton of resources where you can always find out how to do things on your own, and it's definitely a great way to learn. But it is a little nuanced. It's a little nuanced, and it can be complicated at times. And so that's where there are tons of people who are willing to do things. Fiverr is a great way to get some, I would say, cheap and kind of quick things done. Maybe some of the really basic things done. Or there are full service solutions like Boostability, where we can just simply handle everything for you, from keyword research all the way to the link building and reporting and everything from there. So again, like I said, SEO takes a long time. If you're not doing it, you should be doing it. If you're not doing it, somebody else should be doing it for you. Again, SEO is not perfect, so other marketing might be better in solving some of those gaps. If you need traffic today, that's probably where AdWords might be a better fit. And in a perfect world, if your company's just starting today, or you're looking to launch, a week from now, you should probably be doing a little bit heavier on, maybe your paid spend to try to get some immediate traffic today, and then a week from now, and then slowly ramp up your SEO efforts and start moving some budget over after you get some initial business in the door, and start building up that brand reputation and that pipeline. There's lots of different ways you can do that. Social is another great way where you can start building up that audience for years before you start launching a business, or even just a few months before. And you can also do some paid promotion on there, all sorts of stuff as well. Email is another one. I'm sure we've all gotten those emails where you get an email and it says, hey, we're launching a new product. click here if you would like to join because you're interested. That's a great way to get an initial set of, hey, here's how many people might be interested in a product or a company if you were to start it. There's all sorts of things. So never be afraid. Never assume that SEO is the only place to start, or that it's the only solution. Always leverage what is going to be best for the specific need or situation that you're in. So again, we don't hit on this softly here, but other marketing can fit some product services better than SEO. So if you're seasonal is kind of one of those where if you're very seasonal, you're only open in October, let's say you're a costume store, you kind of pop up and then you leave. SEO may not be the best fit for you. If you have like a fireworks stand, you're only open 3 months out of the year. Again, SEO may not be the best fit for you because you're just kind of showing up and then you're leaving. But if you're a reputable business, you're staying around, or if you're going to have products that are going to stay online for a long time, SEO is definitely the route to go. But if it's not, it's one of those where we just simply have to accept it and make sure you're doing what's best for you, your product, your company, and so on. And then, last, just to round it all out, if you do SEO plus other marketing, honestly, you're going to get your brand, your company, your product, your service, whatever it might be, ahead of 90% of your competition. You'd be surprised how very little effort most people are actually putting into their products, their brands, their efforts. So if you take that extra step of doing 2 things or even 3 things, or even doing 1 thing and just taking some of those small pieces like keyword research and trying to apply it somewhere else, you would see some pretty big returns with really not a whole ton of effort. Or again, you can find somebody that can help you leverage all those things.
I'm going to weigh in with just a quick question or a quick thing for all of you. If you do have questions, you can ask here through the platform, or you can ask us on social media at Boostability. We will kind of moderate those and ask them as we go or towards the end. But in addition, Colton, to what you've been saying on this, we've talked about just finding what's best for you. But of course, cost is always going to play into that. It's hard to essentially put a blanket over, social media is going to cost you X,
Yeah.
SEO is going to cost you X. But overall, kind of tell us just a little bit about like what kind of different costs we could expect and how overall that will impact your ranking and other digital marketing things.
Sure. So overall, I'll give some generals, and then we can definitely give some specifics around pricing. So overall, I would say only do what you feel comfortable with, meaning if you only feel comfortable putting $50 out and that's what you think you can do for 6 months, do $50. There's no reason to do $500, especially like in something SEO where it is a long-term thing. And even PPC, where you're not guaranteed to get leads out of that. So if you're not doing things for 2-3 months, even in a PPC realm, not that you can't do that, but I would highly recommend that you try to do things as long as you can. So try to make sure that you're comfortable with the budget and that the budget is kind of sustainable in that way. The other thing that I would also tie in with that is find what you like to do. Just to kind of give a personal example here, I have a few blogs that I run on my own. I hate doing, some social stuff. There's a few platforms that I really don't like. Facebook just happens to be one of them. I don't know why. I just have never gotten along or agree with Facebook. But my wife loves it. So because of that, she handles anything that deals with some of those blogs or things. She handles all the Facebook side of it. So find what you like to do, find out what others like to do, find out what you would like to farm out, whatever it might be. Those are also great ways to either, find out what you do want to spend money on or find out what you want to bring in-house. There's all sorts of different stuff. As far as costs go, and again, this is going to be kind of a very flexible thing depending on if you're buying a contract, if you're buying hourly, if you're buying, pay to rank. There's a bunch of different business models and pricing models, but in general, just to give something out there, if you're doing something local being like you're in a semi-rural area, you're only competing with maybe 10 other people around your same service, you probably shouldn't be spending more than $500 a month on your SEO. And again, kind of bleeding into other products, $500 on PPC can fly overnight. So it really depends there. Email, you can do that usually pretty cheap. Social, pretty cheap. You're talking maybe less than $100 for both of those combined. Some of the other stuff, native, depending on what you're trying to get into, that can flare up extremely. And then the more local stuff, that's going to vary depending on where you are and what they're asking for, like sponsorships. Sometimes $100 might get you a year-long placement at a local stadium. Sometimes that's more like 1,000 or 10 grand. It really varies. But in general, $500 to $1,000 if you're a very local rural business for kind of your SEO plus other marketing. If you're kind of in a mid-tier market, you're probably looking somewhere between 1,000, maybe 5,000, somewhere in that range for SEO plus everything. And then if you're in a competitive geo or a competitive landscape where you're just competing with a lot of people, then you're probably looking at about 5,000 plus, I'd say, just to be competitive. So very, very, very loose out there. But again, I would kind of refer back to do what you feel comfortable with. And then again, if all else fails, find out what you like to do, find out what you don't like to do. And then that will help you pick and choose what you actually want to spend money on and what you actually don't want to spend money on.
Great. So I've kind of asked a couple questions along the way. Go ahead and ask, or we had one from Beth that came, do you have a specific budget for, and you kind of already referenced that, but along the way, we've got a few minutes left here in our webinar, so go ahead and tweet us. But I also want to ask Colton, as kind of we wait for a few more things to come in, just how, people might be asking here, especially in small businesses, do I really need SEO? It will fit in with some industries better than others. Talk to us about who would probably benefit from a really good SEO campaign.
Sure. So the reality is that SEO, and it kind of sounds niche and isolated, one of those very first slides we went over. The reality is that SEO is going to be anything dealing with your website. As much as it is to help get you better organic rankings, we have to kind of remember that organics are just trying to play off of what's out there naturally on the web, which means that if you were just working on your website naturally, you were just trying to add pages as you go, you were just trying to add content, you were just trying to modify your headers, put a picture there, try to add a form. If you're just trying to do things naturally to your website, ideally that would translate to better rankings on search engines. So in a perfect world, or just in general, anything you do on your website is going to result in better SEO. So realistically, anything you do is going to help your SEO.
Okay. And then what about kind of revenue? It's really hard to tie SEO specifically to an ROI just because there's so many different factors that go into that. But how can you really tell if you're just starting out what makes a successful SEO campaign and maybe where you can expect your revenue to go once the SEO starts working well for your business?
Yeah. So ROI is definitely a tough one. You depending on how granular you want to get, you can set up things like goal funnels within analytics reporting. You can even set up call tracking numbers. There's lots of things that you can do to try to kind of control as best you can what ROI you're getting from your website. In general, though, I would say use your website as a lead tool as best you can, unless you're doing direct sales. And if you're doing direct sales, obviously, then you have a direct ROI measure. But if you're doing something more like you're a local plumber or something like that, where you have a very local website, or you're just doing lead generation, your lead form is going to be probably your number one indicator of, is this thing working? Outside of that, then I would say your rankings and your general presence is going to be another one. And then you have traffic. The only caution I would say with traffic is that traffic can be influenced by literally anything. If you're a landscaping company and that happens to rain for 2 weeks, you can bet your traffic is going to take a hit. Even if your rankings are up, and if your traffic takes a hit, you're probably not going to generate any leads. And while that totally makes sense now, 6 months from now, you're going to be looking back going, oh man, why did my revenue take a hit? And that is probably going to be why, but you may forget. So, kind of cascading again, I would say leads, if not direct sales. Look at that, obviously, for direct ROI. And then going back from there, rankings and your general presence. That could be links built, something along those lines, and then ranks. And then also, cascading back from that, traffic and what you're getting to your website.
Okay, perfect. A question we just got is just kind of giving an example. Say they have a $500 budget. How many months should an SEO campaign go, or is it just kind of a continuous thing that should always be worked on?
Yeah, realistically, it's continuous. The example that I would give there is as long as you expect the business to be going, that's how long your SEO should be going. So if you're doing $500 a month, ideally that's until the business either gets sold or until you decide to close it down or you decide to grow it bigger into a different company, whatever it might be. So realistically, forever. Obviously, that's not to say that you can't take breaks. SEO, we definitely understand. All companies go through either a rough period or kind of a reinvestment period where maybe you're saying, SEO seems like it's good to me. Let's try to do something else, try to test something. You can definitely do that. And SEO is one of those where it has a little bit more leeway, a little bit more flexibility with you can drop it and you can still get some leads. I would just say that there is kind of a ripple effect, right? If it takes a while for SEO to start working and it takes a while for SEO to stop working, it also takes a while if you stop working for it to for it to start working again. So if it's one of those things where you stop it, start it, stop it, start it, you're going to have that ripple effect coming through your business and probably coming through your rankings and your website and your leads.
And what happens when you do stop? SEO continually grows, and if you do stop, it's not going to immediately drop off the top 10 or the first page of Google. But kind of what's the process when you do stop an SEO campaign?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a variable. So if you stop and let's say you were getting links and then you were doing blogging, so you're doing a bunch of positive signals towards Google as far as that consistency. Basically, you will slowly start to drop out of those top ranking positions, and that might take from our data, it's typically 2 to 3 months is where you'll see the drop from first page to second page. And that's usually you stop everything. You stop content creation, you stop link building, you stop anything online wise. If you basically stop link building, but you continue doing blogging, that might be a slower road where it might be more of a 3 to 6 month drop where you'll stay around for 1 to 2 to 3 months, but then you'll start seeing that drop out around 3 to 6 months. If you're doing link building, but maybe you're stopping the blogging, then honestly, you're gonna probably retain those ranks and maybe see some dwindle around 6 months or so.
Okay, great. Okay, we kind of answered the questions that came in. For anyone else who has one, you're welcome to reach out to us at Boostability on Twitter. And then what's your Twitter handle?
It's the @ symbol and then big C SEO.
Great. So you can reach out to Colton directly or you can reach out to us. We'll be sure to take care of any of your questions. And then we will also take this webinar and we'll post it on our YouTube page and on our Facebook page so you can access that if you joined in a little bit late or you want to just go over a couple other things again. So with that, thank you, Colton, for your insights. This has been great. And thank you all for attending. And let us know if we can answer any other questions for you. And thanks all for being here.